Madam President, when you're new to the United States Senate, it's not unusual for friends and people back home, after you've been there a while, to say, so who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in the Senate? Who are the ones you really like? And what can you tell us about the rest of them? It's a common question that's asked, and I do remember as a new senator here reflecting on that question and saying, you know, if I had an important decision to make in the Senate, whatever the issue might be, there are two senators that I always want to sit down and get their advice. One was Carl Levin of Michigan, one of the most thoughtful, smart guys I had a chance to serve with. And the other was Paul Sarbanes. He just always struck me as a man of substance who took questions seriously. He was respected in the United States Senate for his service, of course, to Maryland, and he was just a good person. He brought real integrity to the United States Senate, and so when I learned that he passed away just a few days ago, I wanted to put a few things in the record. He was a man of towering intellect and integrity, but he was modest. He didn't care about headlines. He did so much good work behind the scenes. He was given some of the toughest assignments to think about the responsibility of dealing with the Great Recession and then working with Republican Congressman Oxley to put together a really significant reform of Wall Street and the financial community. We knew we could trust Paul Sarbanes to do it, and he did it in a bipartisan fashion. He was the proud son of immigrants. He never forgot it. His parents immigrated from the same town in Greece, but only met in America. The Sarbanes owned a famous restaurant in Salisbury, Maryland, and gave it the quintessentially American name, the Mayflower Restaurant. Paul worked in the restaurant as a boy, and he and his family lived above the restaurant. He graduated from public high school, won a scholarship to Princeton University, studied as a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University. In 1960, earned a law degree from Harvard. Not bad for an immigrant son. From Harvard, Paul went to the White House, where he was one of the best and brightest who answered President John Kennedy's call to public service. There he worked for the as administrative assistant to Walter Heller, who was chairman of President Kennedy's Council of Economic Advisors. Paul Sarbanes' parents taught him that serving one's nation in public service was a noble calling. One of the many Greek words Paul Sarbanes learned from his parents was the word idiotis. It is the Greek root word for the English word idiot, but it has a different meaning in Greek. It means someone who takes no part in the affairs of his community. In the Sarbanes family, that was almost a curse. Paul and his parents believed that service to others and to their adopted homeland was a noble calling. So Paul first ran for elective office in 1966, was elected to the Maryland House of Delegates. In 1970, the people of Maryland elected him to the U.S. House of Representatives. He was a young congressman when he wrote one of the successful articles of impeachment against then-President Nixon for lying about his Watergate burglary. In 1976, he won his first election to the United States Senate. He would go on to serve 30 years in the chamber. He was a voice of reason on both the Senate Iran-Contra and Whitewater committees. When corporate swindling at Enron and other large corporations cheated millions of Americans of their life savings, it was Paul Sarbanes' leadership that enabled the Senate to pass the most far-reaching corporate accountability reform since the Securities and Exchange Commission was created 70 years before. That Sarbanes-Oxley reform law, passed in 2002, was designed to prevent the kind of corporate abuses that had so damaged American economy and shaken the faith of the American people in the economic markets. In 2002, things came full circle for me. There was created an award in the name of Senator Paul Douglas of Illinois, a man whom I first met as a college intern who inspired me to get started in this business. And Paul Sarbanes won in 2002, became the first recipient of the Senator Paul Douglas Ethics in Government Award. That's presented by the University of Illinois to honor men and women in public service who exhibit the finest qualities of leadership. It was a perfect match, and for me, it came full circle. What a coincidence it is that the people that have been my heroes in public life so far, so many are named Paul. Paul Douglas, who had started me as an intern, who introduced me to Paul Simon, who preceded me in the United States Senate, where I served with Paul Sarbanes. They basically say in my office that I've been raised according to the gospel of St. Paul. I want to quote briefly from Senator Sarbanes' final speech in the Senate before he retired in 2006. It speaks powerfully to the kinds of leaders America is looking for today. Here's what Paul Sarbanes said. Throughout my years in public service, I have worked to the limits of my ability to provide the people of Maryland and the nation dedicated, informed, and independent representation based upon the fundamental principles of integrity and intelligence. I have been guided in this effort by a vision of decent and just America, based on a strong sense of community and offering fairness and opportunity to all its people. I know I join all my colleagues in thanking Paul for doing his part so nobly and so well to help us move toward a more perfect union. And let me say a word about his wife, Christine. She was his real partner in life. I can recall when he retired and I said, Paul, I'm sorry to see you go. And he said, let me ask you a question. When are you supposed to leave around here? It's a question many of us have asked ourselves over and over. As far as he was concerned, I said, what do you want to do the most? He said, travel with Christine. They were able to do that for a limited period of time because Christine died of cancer in 2009. She was a wonderful person, intelligent, just like Paul, and the two of them were pure happiness together. Loretta and I wish to express our condolences to the Sarbanes family, especially to their children, Michael, Janet, and a man I've come to know and respect, his son, Congressman John Sarbanes, as well as our grandchildren, his friends, and former staff members, and the countless people whose lives are better because of Paul Sarbanes. Madam President, I yield the floor.